Hi, welcome back to Gathering Grounds Gaming, and today we're going to set some lava bases on fire. I'll catch you after this. So to begin with, customer wanting lava bases, they're actually wanting 60 in all, and they want it across different sizes. So they're wanting 32mm that I already stock, so these are already been built and I've moulded them, and then these are then done in resin. But they specifically asked, can I make the same sort of style of thing, but can I also make them in 28mm, 40mm, 80mm, and then this is 90 by 120. So I just wanted to do a quickly run through about how I do that, and then I'm going to do a tutorial straight afterwards, which should have seen on some of my other tutorials about how to paint the lava. So I just wanted to run through that. So there's a couple of different materials I'm going to use. So for the larger ones, I'm actually going to use, I've got a bag of chipped slate. So you can use bark. So for the smaller ones, I probably will use bark, just because you can break the pieces down quite small, so you can sort of break them up. But I didn't want to use this for the larger pieces. For the main reason is because the pieces would be quite big. I was worried that they wouldn't maybe have the stability for putting a larger pieces on. So I've gone for the slate and as I say, sort of smaller bits of bark for the 28mm and probably the 40mm. But if I change my mind, I'll let you know. But for this point in time, I think that's probably the better thing to use. So what I'll do is I'll clear the board and I'll show you how sort of I start to put this together. When it comes to the larger pieces, you want to make sure, I'll show you a piece that I've started to look at. You want to make sure that there are some even places to place, obviously to place the miniature's feet, because otherwise you're going to end up with a really good looking base, but it's not actually going to be user friendly when it comes to sticking down the model. But one thing you also want to think about is they're lava bases, so you want to be able to create gaps so you can actually get some really good lava painted in there and create some points of interest. I will be sort of texturing in between the rocks to just, as I say, give it a little bit of interest, but I'll show you that stage as we go. Okay, so you can see you've got the two larger bases here and you've got the 80mm base here. Again, I wanted them all to be a bit different. I didn't want to have two with exactly the same sort of look. So again, it's creating some nice sort of places for lava, but you can see that there is 3 nice places to be able to actually base whatever you want to put on there. And the same with the 80mm. There's a little bit lower here. I might sort of pop a piece on top just to bring it back up to that height. But again, based on what they've said, I think that'll be enough space. But it gives me a nice bit here to put some sort of lava through. So there's some of the bigger bases, and I'm going to start having a look at some of the smaller bases, and I'll come back when I've done that. So when it comes to gluing down the stone, this can take a little bit of time. But what you want to do is, I've used a EvoStick Serious Glue. You can use any major glue, but I think it's really good to be able to use sort of like Mitofast. So Mitofast it's like an accelerant. So this won't instantly glue these down, but what it will do is it will just move it along a little bit quicker, so you can get them in position and then sort of put them to one side, rather than it taking hours and hours to glue. As I say, it still probably takes, I'd say it still takes about 20 minutes to dry, but by using some of the Mitofast on the stone, it just speeds things up. If you were to use it on like the bark, it would pretty much be an instant grab. So I'm using this specifically for the stone just to speed it up, so I don't have to worry about knocking them halfway through it drying. So I'm going to do that, and I'll show you. So what I do is I put the glue on the stone, put a nice amount, and try to catch the stone where the places where it's going to contact with the base. And then what I do is I'll spray straight over the glue and then just drop it down. As I say, it will take a bit of time to glue, and I did these ones already, but they're really solid. But it just means that I can drop that in place, move it to one side, and then move on to the next. And you see the 800 one, that's already been glued, so it's, you know, it's really solid. And actually the good thing is the stone still doesn't make it a really heavy base, but it gives it a nice bit of weight. So it's good. They're looking good. So when you're looking at the smaller ones, you want to make sure, especially with the small one, that you don't create so much stone on here. You want nowhere to actually put the lava. If you look at my 32mm, I've used quite a lot. It's quite small, but can still create some great interest. And I've just put sand in between, so you've got some texture then to obviously create the lava. But it's really important, because otherwise you can end up, it's okay to maybe do the odd one where there is maybe like one large piece of stone in the middle, like something like that, to then do the lava around the edge. But you don't want to do that on all of them, because otherwise they're basically just paying for a stone model. But the good thing about this is I can sort of break this off to just make it a little bit smaller, but still give it a good firm base to obviously stick the model to. So I'm going to start having a look at these, and then we'll sort of go through there.
So obviously at this point I've textured it with sand and stones, as you can see, and now I'm literally just running over the whole piece with a mixture of PVA and acrylic black paint, which will just give it a really nice base then to start creating the lava look that you're going to see.
Okay, so the next thing we do is we're going to paint the lava bases. So we'll start off with Evil Sun Scarlet. We'll paint that through all of the middle. We'll give that a nice thick layer and a nice sort of wide layer of that, because that will be like the bulk of the lava. We'll then go on to Fire Dragon Bright. We'll then go on to, I normally use Uriel Yellow. And then what we'll do is we'll then, with the yellow, we'll add in some White Scar, just to make the yellow lighter and then lighter and then lighter, which will then give it the lava bases a bit of depth. And we'll then, along the way, we will be using a series of washes. So we will add some Cassandra yellow over the orange and the first layer of yellow. What that will do is that will then sort of brighten up the two layers. And then once we have finished with the yellow, we then give it a shade of Serpium Sepia. And what this again does is it just brings out some of the red. And then to finish, once we're happy with the different shades, we'll then use a Reikland Flesh Shade Gloss. So it has to be gloss, because what that does, that gives you that nice shine. Like when you look at lava, it has a shine to it. So this will just help you do that, but we'll do that right at the end.
Now at this point, I just want to sort of state that you don't have to use the range of colours to create the lava that I've used here today. You just got to remember a nice dark red, a nice bright orange, a nice vibrant yellow, and some washes, just to really sort of like make those different colours pop and really sort of separate and give the bases a bit of depth. So just remember, like I would say, use whatever colours you've got available, but obviously as long as they fit into those sort of like those three different categories, that'd be great. And secondly, like if you are liking this this content, if you don't mind just clicking the button below, follow me on YouTube, or hop across to my Patreon and just follow me on Patreon. You can do it as a free member for sort of like general updates, or you can start with £3 a month and you can get access to all my videos, Discord. But otherwise, back to the video, and I hope you enjoy it.
The next colour is going to be Fire Dragon Bright, and what we'll do is we'll sort of get a lot of the larger areas. And again, it will be a nice bold sort of line through, and then we can then lay the yellow on top. And what you should start to see is because you'll be laying like the lighter colours on top, you should start to see like the darker colours sitting in the recesses, which will be create a nice effect as you go along. But I'll do this and then we'll see how we get on. There you go. So there's the orange. Now, I have, I'm not sure at the moment, but I think I may have maybe cut too much of the red out, but it doesn't really matter because you can quite easily just add, like in these areas, you can add a little bit of the red back in. And also, when you actually add the red washing nearer the end, it will enhance that red, so that red will become quite vibrant, so it will stand back out. But we'll see how it goes. But as I say, I sometimes have a bit more red around the rocks. Because remember, the red on the edges is where the lava is starting to either is coolest, and obviously the yellow is where the lava is at its hottest. So so around the rocks, you know, you can see the dark and the red. So I might put a little bit of this red back in, but we'll see how it goes. But it looks fine for now. But just to let you know, at any point you can add that little bit of colour back in. All right. So all of the orange is now done, and now it's time for, as you talked about, I'm going to try out the bubbling lava technical paint from Moonhopper. So hold tight and I'll let you know how it goes. So let's start having a little look. So what we do is we just start in the middle, and what we want to do is we just want to, again, like the orange, but thinner. We want to just create just a little line through the middle of the orange. You should see the yellow should start to just pull all the colours together. So you want to go around here, still seeing, so you can still see the orange, but it should start to, and just lift it up onto the rock a little bit. We can dull that off a bit later. And you can see that the actual colours really start to tie together. Just make sure, like I said earlier, just make sure you leave a little touch of all the colours. And initially it may start to look a bit stripy, but it blends really nicely. And like what I love about this paint, is it's different. It's very similar to the colour that I normally use, but what I love about it is it blends really nicely with the other colours. So if you can see here, it's not created stripes. The yellow is blended in with the orange, and that helps the effect, the lava effect. And I think that really helps lift the effect. And I think that's part of what, if you're doing lava bases or a lava board, it's all about blending the colours. Because remember, like this is lava at different stages. So obviously the red, the dark black and the red is where the lava is sort of dried off and cooled down, and the yellow is meant to represent when the lava is at its hottest. So what I'm going to do is I'll finish some of this off and I'll come back and show you what it looks like. So here we go. Now, like I said earlier, what I quite like about this is you really see the blend, and actually you can see here the orange and the yellow really bring out the red, and I think it's a really nice effect. Like I said, I've never used the Moonhopper colour before, and this isn't a paid ad or anything, but it's bubbling lava acrylic technical paint. It's paint that I got free from Moonhopper as part of a bank holiday giveaway. I got lots of different items for free, so put a little video on my Instagram just about what I got, and there's some really good items in there, so give them a shout. And I think I probably will go back and maybe try and get the red and the orange if they have a red and orange to match. But as you can see, it's created some really lovely effect of the yellow and then the red, and it really does make it pop. So yeah, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and do the other sides of the bases. As you can see, I've got quite a few to do. I'll go ahead and do all the different sizes, and I'll come back when I'm ready to do the different glazes and the washes. Okay. Okay, so this is the second pass on the yellow. So you can see it's creating some nice sort of bright patches around here, which really enhance the red around there. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to probably come in with just a couple of dots of like a light yellow, just to highlight them a little bit more. And then I'm going to give the whole thing in the middle here an orange wash, which will, as I said, enhance the colours, and then I'll give it some Ceram Sepia to give it a bit of a shine at the end, and that should hopefully give it like a bit of a glistening lava look. So that is the look you're going to get across all the tiles. What I'll do is I will show you how I'll go now and do the lighter yellow. So now I've done the yellow through here, I'm gonna now do a wash. So it's a Cassandor yellow. So basically what that does, it will enhance the orange in the yellow and in the red, and it will just sort of make it pop. So what we'll do is I'll show you what it will look like. So as you come in, it will just dull down some of that yellow, but don't worry, because what we're going to do is we're going to go back over the yellow afterwards, just in different points, just to bring that yellow back out. But what it does is if you look at reference pictures of lava, it sort of almost has a glow to it, like an orange glow. And what we're just going to try and create that effect, and I'll show you what it looks like when I've done this. So you just basically want to go over all over the yellow parts, and as you can see there already, it's sort of really making that sort of pop, sort of sinks into the into the sort of the gaps, and just gives it that little orange sort of tinge afterwards, that orange highlight. So what I'll do is I'll put this down and I'll show you what it's like when you've done the whole one. So I've already done this one, and as you can see, it's really sort of sunk in. And what we do is we basically then just pull out the yellow again on all like the raised bits. So I've already done a bit here, and you can see just along here as well, I've added the yellow back in, and it just gives it a bit more depth. And then when you come to lighten out the yellow even more and add that over, it will just sort of make the real light yellow really pop out, and it gives that really good effect. So what I'll do is I'll go and do this, and I'll add the yellow in, and then I'll show you what it looks like after. Okay, so we're at a point now where the lava is now complete. So the last stage I just did was to add some very light yellow just to make the lava just pop on the top. And then as you can see, I've actually added some red wash, gloss wash over the dark red lava. And you can see that it's made the lava really sort of pop there now. So the last thing we're going to do is, you can see the black stone, is we have got Rhinox hide here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take the edge off the black, just with a little bit Rhinox hide. So you can see it's just going to go from being black to like a very dark brown. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come in with a very like a high, we're going to lighten out the Rhinox hide, and then we're going to do a very sort of like light dry brush over the top, just to make the sort of the highlights in the stone just pop just a little bit. So as you can see there, if you compare it to this one here, it's just got a sort of brown tint to it. Now what I'll do is I'm going to show you now. This is after I've done the highlights. So as you can see, I've added a bit of white to the Rhinox hide, just to make it lighter, and then I've just dry brushed it over the top, and it brings out all of like the edges of the stone, it brings out all the detail, and it just brings a bit more depth to the rocks. You can see, so if you compare it to this one, so it just takes the edge off and you can really see the detail in the stones. Okay, so I'm going to do all 58 of these, and that should be done.
So I hope you like that video, and if you do need any details about colours I've used, just drop me a message down below. And also let me know if you think I should do like a modular lava board, like, you know, 2x2 squares. I've been pondering about it, so yeah, let me know what you think. Might be something I might want to do in the future. But otherwise, if you do like this content, remember, please just hit the bell below, like and subscribe. And like I said before, if you are able to, it'd be great if you can join my Patreon, and you can see all the other tutorials that I'm going to have available. But otherwise, keep an eye out for my next videos. I've got loads of tutorials coming. I've got some singular tree, scatter tree tutorials coming. I've got some tree base tutorials coming. So as I say, keep your eye out for those. But otherwise, until then, I look forward to seeing you.